What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. I have some breaking and unfortunate news involving unified lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez, aka Mr. Takeover. Triller's Ryan Kavanaugh has come out in social media saying that Teofimo Lopez has contracted COVID-19 and his upcoming fight with IBF mandatory #1 contender George Kambosos has been pushed back from June 19th, which was going to be this Saturday, to August the 14th. So my thoughts and prayers go out to Teofimo Lopez, #1. He has a child on the way in November. So my prayers go out to his wife, his unborn child, his dad, who's his training, his whole family, man. This is a difficult time, man. This COVID-19 has no discrimination. Don't matter your status or what you got going on soon or none of that. It's going to wreak havoc, man, as it's wreaked havoc for the last year or so. Hopefully he don't have no symptoms. No, some people have the COVID-19, don't have no symptoms. Some people have the COVID-19 and it has them in down and out for the count for a lot of cases, man. They go through it, man. It has a dramatic effect on them, man. It pretty much they have multi symptoms from the COVID-19. Then you have some people that didn't die from COVID-19. So my thoughts and prayers go out to Teofimo Lopez. You know, he's a young guy, so I hope he has a complete recovery, and I hope down the road he don't feel any after effects from this deadly virus. With that being said, June 19th was a logjam date. You know, you had Kambosos and Lopez. You had the Chavez family reunion going on June 19th in Guadalajara, Mexico, involving Chavez Jr. versus the Roy Jones of the MMA, Anderson Silva, who's past his best days. That's the main event. You got his dad, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., one of the best fighters in the history of boxing, definitely in the top 5 of the best Latino boxers in boxing history. He's fighting Hector Camacho Sr.'s son, Hector Camacho Jr. That's the co-main event. So that fight was on June 19th. You had Jamal Charlo defending his WBC middleweight title versus Juan Macias Montiel, a fight that's taking place in my hometown, H-Town, Houston, Texas. Not too excited about that fight. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I was debating not even going to that fight because I was like, okay, if I could find a sports bar that's showing that Lopez Kambosos fight, that's gonna be the first priority. That's the fight I want to watch, and I just had to catch that Charlo Montiel fight on the replay or something. Showtime 2, they show replays like I think Monday or Tuesday. I had to catch that then or something. That's what I was thinking about. But now that Lopez fight is getting canceled, it's a chance that I could end up going to that fight and watching that fight live. So we will see what happens and see what transpires. If I don't watch it, go to it personally and watch it live, I'm definitely going to check it out on Showtime. So that clears the deck for that fight for me to watch. But they got, not only that fight, they had Jaime Munguia. He fighting in El Paso, Texas. He was supposed to fight Selicki, but Selicki got pulled from the card for reasons unknown. And they put in Smirtova, the guy that fought Triple G last fight. That was Triple G's last fight. Triple G been on MIA. I don't know what's going on with Triple G. I heard he talking about fighting Murata on New Year's Eve up there in Japan. But they're going to fight on the same card sometime this summer. And if they both win, that's going to set the stage for a big fight over there in Japan on December the 31st. So Triple G at this stage of his career, it's all about the dollars, man. You know, he don't have too much left in the sport from what I've seen his last couple of fights. He's slowing down. He wasn't fast to begin with, but he's slower than a broke leg turtle right now. He's slow as molasses, man, but he still got that power. He still got a high boxing IQ, so he still might have enough to get by Murata, who hasn't beat nobody outside of Rob Grant. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. That fight was going to take place June 19th, and then we had the fighter that's on many people's pound for pound list. They have him as high as #2 behind Canelo Alvarez. That's Naya Inu. Was going to be fighting on the ESPN platform. I don't know if it's ESPN Plus or or regular ESPN, but he definitely fighting on the ESPN platform. That fight was going to take place on June the 19th. Inu, he get a lot of praise. He get a lot of credit for stuff he ain't even done yet. He's beat Darnell. That's on. You look at his resume. Who he beat? He beat Darnell. That's it. And going into that fight, that was supposed to be a showcase fight for Inu. Everybody thought Darnell was past his best days, but actually Darnell gave him a tougher fight than people expected. Darnell probably won about 3 or 4 rounds. I think I had it 9 rounds to 3 Inu. This was supposed to be a coming out party for Inu, so to speak. He's supposed to showcase his skills. I heard a lot of great things about him going into that fight, but when I watched the fight, I just didn't see all that. I saw a good fighter, but what they tried to say is, oh man, his technical skills, the punches he throws, the variety of punches that he throws, the head movement, the angles that he throws punches from, man, this guy's on a whole nother level. He throws a lot of punches per round, the volume of punches he throws per round. You let them tell you it was just something you ain't never seen in boxing. Similar to the same story that you heard about Vasily Lomachenko. But the difference between Inu and Lomachenko at that time, Lomachenko at least fought some top-level fighters. He had fought Gary Russell Jr. He had fought Nicholas Walters. He had fought Regan Dow. You know what I'm saying? He had fought top-level fighters. Unlike Inu, who fought past his best days, Darnell. Now, give Darnell credit for rejuvenating his career, because a lot of people thought it was pretty much over for him. And he was able to catapult that performance against Inu into a title shot versus Ubala, whatever his name is. And he was able to defeat him. So he done resurrected his career. So he's trying to write a story for the second half of his career, when many people thought it was over for Nonito Darnell. So I give him credit for that win. But even in that fight, he didn't look like no top 2 pound-for-pound fighter. Top 10, I can hear that argument. But based on resume, that's even sketchy. But he definitely ain't in no top 2 pound for pound. He shouldn't be ahead of Terrence Bud Crawford. He shouldn't be ahead of Errol Spence Jr. He shouldn't be ahead of Jermell Charlo. He shouldn't be ahead of Jamal Charlo. And he shouldn't be ahead of Teofimo Lopez. All them people need to be ahead of him. Number 7, let's start now. We can start talking about placing him in that spot. But number 2, way too high. And the resume don't support it. But that's neither here nor there. That fight was taking place on June the 19th. So it's still a log jam, but it pretty much cleared up in my eyes, man. I'm watching Charlo versus Montiel. That's the fight I'm watching. A lot of Kambosos versus Lopez has been pushed back to August 14th. Now, if he's successful in the fight versus Kambosos August 14th, the next move he will make will be to fight Jose Pedraza, October 2nd, ESPN pay-per-view. A lot of people saying, what? He need to be fighting Devin the Dream Haney for undisputed at 135 pounds, so we can find out who is the top dog in the lightweight division. But you got to understand how boxing business works and boxing politics work. He just signed a multi-year extension with Top Rank Boxing. They're not going to put him in the first fight on that new deal with a fighter that can very well beat Teofimo Lopez. That style right there is going to be a tougher style for Teofimo Lopez to overcome, because he's a very skilled fighter, a very long fighter. He's going to have the reach advantage. He's going to be able to control distance. He's a fundamentally sound boxer. He don't have eye-popping power, but he's an accurate puncher. He's got respectable power. So that's a tough matchup for Teofimo Lopez. That's a fight that I can see Teofimo Lopez losing behind going into the second half of the fight. And maybe, with his power in both hands, he'll eventually be able to catch Devin Dream Haney. Once Devin the Dream Haney kind of wears down, if Haney loses a little bit of focus, that's all it takes. Lose a little bit of focus. Maybe Lopez catches him in the second half of that fight and stops him. That could be the case, but that's a nightmarish matchup for Teofimo Lopez. That fight and Shakur Stevenson, those two styles will be the toughest styles for Teofimo Lopez to overcome. Now, him fighting somebody like a Ryan Garcia, whose defense is suspect, yeah, that's a good style for him. Even fighting Gervonta Tank Davis, who gets hit a lot. But Gervonta Tank Davis has power, just like Teofimo Lopez has power. So that's going to be a firefight. That's going to be a old shootout at the old gun corral. That's going to be that type of thing. It's going to come down to who is able to land that shot. And that's who's going to win that fight. Both of them got power, And it's going to basically boil down to who has the strongest chin, who can take the other person's shot better. But that's a fight that's much more suitable to his style of fighting than, again, Shakur Stevenson's or Devin Dream Haney. So, long story being short, they're not going to match him up with Devin the Dream Haney. That should be the fight to be made next, in my opinion, but that's not what's going to be next. It's going to be Jose Pedraza, October 2nd on ESPN pay-per-view. It's not going to be the Lomachenko 2 rematch. That's not going to be the case because Lomachenko has a fight coming up in June 26th to be exact against Nakatani. He's not going to turn around and fight that fight and then have a quick turnaround and fight in October. You're looking at, what, 4 months? July, August, September, October. And October 2nd, we talking about early October coming off late June. So it's basically 3 months in between. So that's not going to happen. Top Rank Boxing is looking to make Lomachenko versus Devin the Dream Haney in December 11th. That's Heisman Trophy night. They want that fight to take place right after the Heisman Trophy ceremony, as that fight is one of the prime fights under ESPN and Top Rank Boxing calendar every year. And they looking to stage a big fight on that date. And they looking for Devin the Dream Haney to take on Vasyl Lomachenko. Another thing Bob Arum said as far as Devin the Dream Haney go, he said he don't want to deal with Eddie Hearn, his promoter. He said Eddie Hearn has a 30-day window to match any offer that Devin the Dream Haney receives, and he don't want to deal with Eddie Hearn, as those two have been going back and forth for the last couple of weeks in regard to the AJ Fury fallout. But that's kind of rich to me because you don't want to deal with him as far as Lopez versus Haney, but you want to deal with him as far as Loma versus Haney. Still the same fighter, still the same promoter. Or you would make that fight, but I guess he think Eddie won't try to match that fight because that fight is on such a prime date, December 11th. They'll be able to offer Haney a real good purse for that fight, and that would be Haney's stiffest test of his career if he's able to defeat. First of all, if he's able to get the fight with Loma, that would be his stiffest test. And if he's able to defeat Lomachenko, that would skyrocket his name in the sport of boxing. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But that's what we're looking at. Teofimo Lopez versus Jose Pedraza, October the 2nd on ESPN pay-per-view. That's if he's successful August 14th against George Kambosos. George Kambosos has been talking with a lot of confidence. He thinks he's going to drop Teofimo Lopez. He thinks he's going to beat Teofimo Lopez. He thinks Teofimo Lopez ain't what people making him out to be. He thinks his status is overblown, and he's going to have a surprise. He's going to have a surprise for people. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have a birthday party, and you got that old crazy drunk uncle that you told everybody in the family. Don't tell Uncle Luther about this surprise birthday party for my daughter Treese. Don't tell him about it, but somehow you got some old babbling cousin that tells Uncle Luther about it, and Uncle Luther show up at the surprise birthday party. He knock on the door, and you thinking it's, you open the door, and he get inside the party, and you're like, oh, man, he here. And once he in the party, he there now. You know you can do about it now. Old drunk Uncle Luther is there. Ain't nothing you can do about it. That's the same thing George Kambosos is going to try to do. He's going to try to be that drunk uncle that, basically get into the party that nobody wanted him to show up at. Nobody wanted him to be there. Nobody wanted him to know about. But he showed up anyway. And he was able to knock on that door. And before you was able to close the door and keep him out, he was able to get in, get his body in between the door and the outside of the door. And he got on in that party. And now he's in there. And ain't nothing you can do about it. That's what George Kambosos is going to be looking to do. But I look for Lopez to get through that fight. And I'm looking for him to take care of business and set the stage for a fight with Jose Pedraza, October the 2nd on ESPN pay-per-view. Now, if undisputed junior welterweight champion Josh Taylor, fresh off a victory over Jose Ramirez, the biggest and best win of his career, he's got a WBO mandatory against fellow UK fighter. Fellow UK fighter. Well, let me just specify that. You got both of those guys are from the same area. You got one guy from Scotland. I think Jack Cottrell is from, I don't know exactly what part of the UK he's from, but you got a fellow UK fighter and Jack Cottrell, who's the WBO mandatory. They'll probably stage that fight over there in the UK. He's got to take care of that obligation. If he's successful in that fight, then Top Rank Boxing will be looking to make Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor for February of 2022. Top Rank will try to sell that fight as undisputed champion in the lightweight division, Teofimo Lopez, versus undisputed champion in the junior welterweight division, Josh Taylor. Now, Devin the Dream Haney and his fans will be saying, hell to the now, hell to the now. They'll be saying, no, he ain't undisputed. I'm the WBC lightweight champion. He's got to come see me and beat me to become undisputed. He's unified. So they'll be, basically ready to debate that. And once they be trying to bring that out before that fight takes place. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But that's the news of the day, man. Again, Teofimo Lopez tested positive for COVID-19. Hope he has a speedy and complete recovery from that virus, man, because it has, like I said, it's just been a situation that this world had to deal with for over a year now. So, people that haven't taken the vaccine, I advise you to take the vaccine. But if you don't believe in vaccines or you've heard horror stories about people that took the vaccines, well, you got to do the next best thing and keep that mask over your face, and keep hand sanitizer, keep your hands washed when you go into these public places, and just do your due diligence to be safe and try to limit your access and limit your exposure to this deadly disease that we call coronavirus. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. A quick caveat. Now, if Top Rank and Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing are unable to come to an agreement with a Lomachenko versus Devin Haney fight in December. Now, like I said, Loma's got to get by Nakatani. I would assume Haney might get a fight in before December. And if he's successful in that fight, they'll try to make Loma versus Haney for December 11th. But say if that fight does not get made, a fight that could be a backup plan for Lomachenko is what was the guy that Teofimo Lopez knocked out for the IBF lightweight title? The guy, he lives in New York. He's from Africa. I can't remember his name. He lost a close fight to Robert Easter Jr. and he lost another close fight to Kavalov. He lost 2 close fights, but then he got knocked out. It wasn't no dispute when he fought Teofimo Lopez, as he knocked him out, put him to sleep, and didn't even give him NyQuil in that fight. I think it was the second round. I can't remember the guy's name, but that's a guy that they could look to fight Lomachenko if they can't make Loma versus Haney on December 11th. But Vasily Lomachenko would definitely be fighting on that date. The number one option is Devin the Dream Haney. If they can't get that fight done, they'll look to fight the guy that Teofimo Lopez knocked out for the IBF lightweight title. His name escapes me right now. If y'all can think of his name, give me his name in the comment section, what the guy's name is. You know what I'm talking about. He's a world-class fighter, one of the top lightweights in the division. He only lost to 3 people. 2 close losses to Robert Easter Jr. and Kavalov, and then he was knocked out by Teofimo Lopez. He was the IBF lightweight champion at the time, and Lopez knocked him out in the second round. That was on the undercard of Terrence Bud Crawford versus Igor Kavalauskas, a.k.a. the Green Machine. Let me know who that opponent was. That's the opponent they're looking for as a backup plan if they can't get Lomachenko versus Haney. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. But let me know your thoughts. And give me that opponent, that name that I mentioned that Teofimo Lopez stopped for the IBF lightweight title. That's the person that they might be looking at, again, to fight Lomachenko on December 11th if the Haney fight falls through. Let me know your thoughts. And hit the like button if you like the content of this video. And subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.